I'm here in our kitten nursery at Esther Neonatal Kitten Alliance. We just received 11 kittens this morning who are between 4 and 5 weeks old. They came from an area of Florida that's been hit by Hurricane Ian, lots of flooding. So we were assisting shelters down there so that they're able to move animals out of their shelter to make room for animals who are being found in the flood zones, which will help make sure that those animals being found can be reunited with their people. But we needed to make room in those shelters so that those animals being found will have a safe place to stay, so hopefully their people can find them. The kittens that we took in, there's 11 of them. They're around 4 to 5 weeks old. So these ones right here are fully weaned, but most of them are still on the verge of weaning, so they're going to require some supplemental feeding. They're sleeping after a long trip from Florida. They just arrived here at about 7:30 this morning. This one here is named Jacksonville. She doesn't have full use of her back end. We do have a vet appointment for her at 4:30 today. She also has coccidia, which is a parasite that causes diarrhea, so she's being treated for that. But she'll see a vet today at 4:30. These guys are some of the oldest ones we took in. They're probably 5.5 weeks old, so they're luckily fully weaned and fairly healthy. These guys are from the same litter. They were just split up to fit in the incubators. So those guys are pretty healthy, luckily. Likely some parasites. We're waiting to run fecals on them once we can get some poop out of them so we can see what kind of parasites we're dealing with. Those are fecal collection containers there, so we've got them out by the incubators waiting to collect that once they make a poop. These guys, that one in the back, you'll see has a pretty bloated belly. That can be a sign of parasites, so we're waiting definitely to check that out. And then these guys are the sickest. There's 3 of them in here. They're very emaciated. They came in very, very dehydrated. They're not fully weaned yet, so they do have access to some food that we were just trying to see whether they would eat, but they're going to be supplemented with a bottle as well until we're sure that they're eating on their own. But they likely are full of parasites. And they're, you can see that they're very skinny and very little. So it's lucky that they're safe. So these kittens came to us because of our partnership with Best Friends Animal Society. They have been working to transport animals out of shelters in Florida. So we're partners with them. So when they found out that there were kittens who weren't necessarily weaned yet, very small, weren't really kittens who were old enough or stable enough to make a trip all the way to the Northeast, which is where their transports have been going, we decided that a halfway point to our nursery in North Carolina was a good place for them to land. So these guys were traveling in a van all night, just arrived around 7:30 this morning, and are finally getting a good nap. And again, this is Jacksonville. She doesn't have great use of her back legs right now. The paperwork that she got sent with said that she had swimmer syndrome, which is when their legs are kind of bowed out. She's going to go see a vet today, so we're going to figure out exactly what's going on down there, whether she has some paralysis, whether she has use of her bowels, and we'll know better. We'll know better after that kind of how she's doing, but she's very sweet. Very sweet. So she's not fully weaned yet either. We've been supplementing her a little bit. And all these guys will be available for adoption once we get them healthy and once they've been able to be spayed and neutered. So they are still probably about a month and a half away from being able to be spayed and neutered and adopted. But once that happens, they will be looking for homes. So you can follow them. We'll have stories about them on Facebook as we learn more about them, as we figure out what's going on with them health-wise, but we could really use support. These kittens are going to cost a lot to get healthy. On average, kittens cost about $150, $200 to get ready for adoption. That includes their spay, neuter, vaccines, microchips, all that stuff. And then kittens who are not super healthy, like these guys, we can anticipate spending a lot more on. So all donations will help make sure that they can get all the care they need to live their best lives and get old enough to be adopted. Thanks so much.